Hello students, good morning. I'm Dr. Hemalata KS, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, Maharani Science College from Bengaluru. In the previous session, I had explained the concept of nuclear reaction cross-section, and also I could explain the mathematical analysis of it in detail. In this particular session, I'm going to give you the complete detailed explanation of nuclear reaction cross-section types and nuclear reaction rate along with its mathematical analysis. So let me consider the types of nuclear cross-section here. Total cross-section or total nuclear cross-section. Whenever a beam of particles is incident on a target material, all the incident particles will not penetrate through the target material. Some of the particles will be eliminated or removed from the incident beam. Out of these particles, few particles may be removed from the incident beam by scattering process, some are removed by absorption process, and some particles may be removed by nuclear reaction, such that an effective area that the target nucleus has in order to remove the incident particles from these three possible processes is termed as total nuclear cross-section. With this, let us consider the second category. What is partial cross-section? When the incident particles interacts with the slab, if the particles are removed by scattering, the remaining particles will be removed by absorption process, such that the total cross-section will be summation of the scattered cross-section and summation of the absorbed cross-section, so that the total cross-section, which is also called partial cross-section, can be represented as sigma SC plus sigma A. Here the term partial exists because out of three possible processes or three possible types of cross sections, only two types are involved, which corresponds to scattering and absorption process. So this cross section is called partial cross section. With this, we will move to the third category, differential cross section. In the study of nuclear reactions, the detector which we are going to use to note down or to count the number of outgoing particles will occupy a very small solid angle d omega. Thus, it could not record completely all the outcoming particles. Only few particles will be counted such that the outgoing particles will have an angular distribution which depends on theta and phi. Here theta is called the deflection angle and phi is called an azimuthal angle, and the outgoing particles which are subjected to angular distribution will depends upon this particular set of theta and phi. Here this diagram depicts the differential cross section as a function of angular dispersion or angular distribution of outgoing particles. So here you can see this is the target nucleus, and this is the incident beam of particles which we are incidenting onto a target material, whose cross section is decided by the amount of reaction cross section available for particle interaction with it. And here you can see the different dotted circles representing different zone of influence. When the particles falls on it, how they will be subjected to different angular deflection, that we'll consider in the next step. And this diagram represents the solid angle d omega, which is made at the center of the target with respect to the detector, which can record the number of particles which are being reaching the detector. And let us consider here every fraction of area in the zone of influence is defined by set of angles theta and phi. So here when you consider, for example, when the projectile is incident on a particular region A1 on the upper zone of influence, which is indicated by larger dotted circle, it will be subjected to particular angle of deflection theta 1 and angle phi 1. So when you consider again at A2, when the incident particle is made to fall on A2, it suffers the deflection corresponding to angles theta 2 and phi 2. Like this, depending on which zone of influence the incident particle is hitting, they will be subjected to particular set of theta and phi values. But when you consider all the points which are situated at equal distance from the target nucleus, all the particles will subjected to same angular deflection uh, when we consider the same zone of influence. So here, when you consider the number of particles in a solid angle theta, greater the number of particles in a solid angle theta, greater is the probability of nuclear reaction, indicating there is larger cross section available for interaction. So the cross section which depends on the angle is called differential cross section. When I consider here in this particular diagram, when A1 suffering the deflection with the angle theta 1 phi 1, when you consider on the same zonal influence or zone of influence, another point A1, which is at the bottom of the target nucleus, which is lying on the same zone of influence, this will also be subjected to same angular deflection theta 1 and phi 1 with respect to the incident direction of the projectile. So here, when you consider A2, similarly, it suffers the angular deflection, but which is different from that of the upper zone of influence angular deflection. So here, if you consider a set of particles which are reaching the region A2, they will be subjected to another set of angles which is defined by theta 2 phi 2. Similarly, if you consider another point on the same inner circle at the bottom, it will be subjected to same angular deflection theta 2 phi 2 with respect to the incident direction. This is how you can understand how based on the incident particle falling on a particular region, it will be subjected to deflection with respect to various combination of or various set of theta and phi. So let us consider here now the definition of differential cross section. It is defined as the cross section per unit solid angle. So whenever we consider this cross section available for the interaction between projectile and the target nucleus, when it is defined with respect to solid angle, then we consider such type of reaction cross section as differential cross section. Here, as I explained earlier, all the points which are equidistant from the nucleus produce same angle of deflection theta, which is indicated by a dotted circle, which I explained just now. And the number of particles received by the detector depends on the area of the objective, which is constant, and the distance from the target at a given angle. So when I consider this position of the detector, which is at a particular distance from particular region of zonal influence where the projectile is hitting, that distance matters a lot. Larger the distance between the detector and the point of incidence on a particular zone of influence, smaller the particles collected by the detector, as the area of cross section of the objective of the detector being constant, it depends only on the distance between the target and the detector position. So here we can consider that if the distance is large, the number of particles collected is small and vice versa. With this, we'll understand how to perfectly understand the ratio of d sigma by d omega. Here, the ability of the detector to collect the number of particles with regards to its surface area is measured in terms of solid angle. So here you can see in this particular diagram where the solid angle d omega, which is subtended at the center of the target material under consideration with respect to detector is shown. And here it forms a cone such that the angle subtended at the center is denoted by solid angle d omega. And this represents the ability of the detector to collect the number of particles with respect to its surface area measured in terms of solid angle. So if sigma represents the probability of interaction of the projectiles with the target, the probability of the projectiles reaching the detector will become very, very small, which is say represented by d sigma. And here the ratio d sigma by d omega is called differential cross section for a particular value of theta and phi. The differential cross section gives the probability of particles entering the solid angle for a given value of theta and phi. So with this, we'll consider the mathematical analysis of it. From the earlier expression, we know that the ratio of dn by n with negative sign, which is equal to sigma n into dx. So you can rewrite the expression for sigma, and you can substitute for d sigma by d omega as dn by n into n delta x. And here dx is replaced by just delta x, that's it, and divided by d omega. Just rearranging the term, you have dn by d omega divided by capital N into delta x. The total cross section can be obtained by integrating the above equation over the entire whole solid angles. The entire solid angle, if you consider the d omega, can be represented in terms of spherical coordinates as sine theta, d theta, d phi. Substitute for d omega and integrates between the limits so that you will obtain the total cross section available for interaction. So here in the above equation, when I consider the integration for it, d sigma by d omega, which is integrated over d omega, will be equal to integral of 0 to pi sine theta d theta, where theta varies from 0 to pi, and d phi varying from 0 to 2 pi d phi into d sigma by d omega. So here d sigma by d omega is substituted by this value, and when you further integrate, you can get the expression for total cross section, which is available for interaction between projectile particles with respect to the target nucleus. So here, when you consider the unit of differential cross section, it is since it is d sigma by d omega, sigma you know it is Born, and solid angle you know the unit steradian. So unit for differential cross section becomes Born per steradian, and here the differential cross section is defined in more understandable way, such that it is defined as number of outgoing particles emitted per second in a solid angle d omega at sine angle theta with respect to the direction of incident beam. So when we consider this particular cross section for most of the reactions, it depends on energy of the incident particles. So whenever you have to understand the reaction cross section, for a majority of the nuclear reaction, it usually depends on energy of the incident particle. So in this particular graphical representation, you can analyze how the reaction cross section varies as a function of incident projectile energy, such that at which particular energy of the projectile the resonance is going to exist, and what that resonance signifies, that we'll consider in detail. As I've given here, figure 2 shows the neutron capture cross section of cadmium-113, which varies with neutron energy. The reaction in which the absorption of neutron is followed by the emission of gamma ray is usually expressed in simple form here, as I have shown here in the simplest form, cadmium-113. Within the brackets, you have neutron, comma, it should be a gamma, which is missing here. Gamma you should write with cadmium-114. So cadmium-113 is the target nucleus onto which you are bombarding neutron, slow-moving neutrons of variable energy, which we are showing in this diagram. And the outcoming particle is gamma radiation with the formation of cadmium-114. So here, if you observe, at a particular energy of the neutron, which is around 0.176 electron volt, the resonance occurs. This resonance state tells that the formation of compound nucleus takes place when cadmium-113 interacts with neutron. It forms an unstable excited nucleus, which is at the projectile energy of 0.176 electron volt. And here, the capture cross-section for neutrons are so great that cadmium is widely used in control rods for nuclear reactors. The value of sigma can vary from as low as 10 power minus 20 Born, as in the case of neutrino interactions, to as high as 10 power 5 Born to 10 power 7 Born in case of slow-moving neutrons or thermal neutrons in nuclear reactions of larger cross-section. So when I consider again the example of cadmium-113, the geometrical cross section, if it is around 1.06 Born, you can observe that the neutron capture cross section is around 20,000 Born for thermal neutrons. So with this, we will move on to the next concept of nuclear reaction rate. It represents the rate at which the reaction occurs in a given sample of the target material, and it is called nuclear reaction rate or reaction rate in simple form. It is represented as delta n by delta t, or in some of the book they'll use dn by dt. Let us consider a sample in the form of thin slab of area A and thickness x that contains n number of atoms per meter cube with a particle beam incident normal to one face of the slab. So this concern diagram I had shown in the earlier session, how a thin slab of thickness x onto which you are incidenting the incident particle normal to it, and here we are considering the rate at which the reaction takes place. And here from the expression of surviving particles, uh, we know it is n into n naught e to the power of minus sigma nx. And from that we can write for delta n by delta t as delta n, you know, it is nothing but a small amount of interacting particles, which is given by incident particle minus surviving particle. So n naught minus n will give you delta n divided by delta t. And again writing n in terms of n naught, it is n naught into e to the power of minus sigma nx. Out of two terms, you take n naught by delta t common, and you can write the remaining terms inside the bracket as 1 minus e to the power of minus sigma nx. And if the slab is thin enough so that none of the nuclear cross section overlaps, in that case, we can assume that, or we can simplify that sigma nx is very much smaller than 1. And we can write e to the power of minus y, which is equal to 1 minus y for y less than 1 in this particular case. So here, your y is nothing but sigma nx. And considering that it is very much smaller than 1, we can simplify e to the power of minus y equals to 1 minus y by applying simple Taylor series. And here you can write the expression as delta n by delta t as n naught by delta t into sigma nx. The flux phi of the beam is the number of incident particles per unit area per unit time. So when you consider number of incident particles per unit area per unit time, it is called flux phi. But when we consider number of particles per unit time, then we have to consider phi into A, which is equal to n naught by delta t, and it is their number per unit time. So also we know A into x is the volume of the sample. Therefore, the total number of atoms which it contains, that is the target material, will be equal to n dash, which is equal to n into A into x. And the reaction rate in the above expression becomes, by substituting for n naught by delta t as phi a and sigma nx, you're writing as it is. And here again, you are rewriting n into A into x as n dash. So the expression becomes phi into n dash into sigma, which represents the reaction rate, the rate at which reaction takes place. So with this, let us move on to the summary of the session. Here you are going to revise what you have learned in this particular session. You understood the types of reaction cross-section and its significance. You could derive an expression for differential cross-section by understanding the various processes happening in the reaction process between the projectile and the target, which leads to understand the exact meaning of differential cross section and its usefulness. Also, you understood what is reaction rate and its mathematical expression. With that, let me consider the references used for this session, which I have quoted here. And with this, I'm going to wind up the session today. I hope the concepts are clear to you, which is very simple and very important ones. And I'll continue in the next class with the next higher topics. Till then, bye. Thank you.